G'day everyone, it's me, it's your boy, it's Patchy, and today I'm going to be asking ChatGPT some weird questions. Questions that a normal person probably wouldn't be asking it. But seeing as AI is soon going to be our dominating overlord, let's see how they react to some strange questions. I have some questions prepared. Okay, first thing I'm going to ask ChatGPT is the age-old question. What came first? The chicken or the egg? The classic paradox. Here's the breakdown. If you're asking okay, Jesus Christ, look at this fucking answer. If you're asking biologically / evolutionarily, the egg came first. And see, that's what I've always theorized. I feel like you can't have an chicken without an egg. Birds evolved from reptiles, and reptiles were laying eggs long before anything we'd recognize as a chicken existed. At some point, a bird that was almost, but not quite, a chicken laid an egg, and due to a genetic mutation or combination of mutations, the creature then hatched from it was the first true chicken. So, dinosaur, egg, chicken. So, not chicken lays an egg, mutation, chicken is born. Boom. If you're asking philosophically or linguistically, it gets fuzzier. If you define a chicken egg as an egg laid by a chicken, then the chicken came first. But if you define it as an egg from which a chicken hatches, then the egg came first. Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. Next, the age-old question, and this is going to be tough to type out, but here we go. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? According to the classic tongue twister logic, a woodchuck would chuck as much as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. But for a more scientific and ridiculous answer, we love these ones. In 1988, a fish and wildlife technician named Richard Thomas calculated that if a woodchuck could chuck wood, based on how much dirt it typically moves when digging a burrow, it could chuck about 700 pounds of wood. So there you go, 700 pounds, give or take, assuming a very motivated woodchuck with decent form. With decent form, bro. Can you imagine woodchucks being like, yeah, I'm just chucking wood right now. That guy, moving 600 pounds. I'm moving 700 pounds. You know why? Bad form. Get your game together, woodchuck. All right. New question. I think this is kind of a weird one. What is a question I could ask you that would confuse you? Oh. Great question. Here's one that would confuse even me. If I asked you a question I'm thinking of, would your answer be the same as the answer to this question? This is a self-referential loop. It doesn't give me enough information to pass what's being asked because it hinges on undefined internal logic similar to paradoxes like, this sentence is false. You could also try quantum level thought experiments. Okay, we're getting deep. What would the consciousness of an AI think about its own non-consciousness if it were self-aware enough to realize it's not? What the f***? Okay, or combine multiple ambiguous concepts. For example, if a multiverse contains every version of this conversation, is there a version where you don't understand this question? If so, how would you know that you are not that version? That's crazy. Want to try crafting a question like that together? Nah, I'm good, bro. Fair enough, bro. If you ever want to break the universe later, I'm here. What? ChatGPT has the power to break universes. Like I'm opening a can of worms here, bro. Jeez, okay. I reckon ChatGPT could answer this quite well. How many grains of sand could you fit into the sun? To estimate how many grains of sand you can fit into the sun, we need to compare the volume of the sun to the volume of a single grain of sand. Okay, that is okay, the sun is roughly a sphere with a radius of about 696,340 kilometers. Okay, cool. Okay, we figured that out. The volume of a grain of sand is 0.5 mil. Yeah, okay, so it's, yeah, okay, cool. Divide the volume. I understand nothing of whatever this is, okay? Just so we're clear. I'm pretty sure it was obvious, but I got no fucking clue, okay? I know this means 10 to the power of 27, right? I think. And then that means kinda? Final answer is 2.16 times 10 to the power of 37 grains of sand can fit into the sun. Let me know if you want this visualized. Okay, what number is this? Okay, here we go. That number is read as 21.6 decillion in short scale. Okay, yeah. Jesus Christ. That's a few grains of sand, I think. Okay. How many grains of sand are on the surface of Earth? That's given us 2 responses. Which response do you prefer? I mean, I feel like I would prefer the more fleshed out response. But this is like, if you like to break how we figured that out, just say it. But I want to see, like my old maths teacher used to say, I want to see you working out. I want to see it. I'm like, miss, I use a calculator. I didn't work shit out. Anyway, next question. All right, now for a properly weird one. How many toes do you have? I don't have any toes, no feet either, but if I did, I'd go for the classic 10. Symmetry is hard to beat. I like the way this guy works. Nice. What about fingers? Same deal, no fingers here either. But if I were to imagine, I'd say 10 fingers, 5 on each hand, just like most people. Perfect for typing out responses quickly. How about you? Any fingers or toe stories? Are you into feet? I see what you did there. As an AI, I don't have preferences or feelings, so I'm not into feet or anything physical, but I'm always down to chat about whatever interests you, feet included. If that's your vibe, what got you thinking about feet today? Let's just delete. Let's just check there. Let's try the next one. Okay, I think this one is a little bit deeper. So let's see how it would answer it. Do you think you will become irrelevant? How do you spell that? Like that. It's a thoughtful question. I don't think I'll become irrelevant anytime soon. I have the same theory there. But how useful I am definitely depends on how well I keep evolving and helping people like you. Technology needs and expectations change all the time. So if I don't keep up with new info, tools, and ways to assist, then sure, I can become less relevant. But right now, AI like me is becoming more integrated into how people create, learn, work, and just chat. So as long as I keep adapting and improving, I think I'll stay relevant for a good while. What about you? Do you ever worry about something becoming irrelevant in your life or work? That's crazy. What I personally fear is that like people's brains are getting smaller because they are having to think less to be able to do shit in their daily lives. I see that at work quite often already. People are just not thinking and they're like, ChatGPT said to use this. And I'm like, well, you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, okay, we're going to get deep here. Do you think that the use of AI tools would have a negative impact on people's ability to think? Great and nuanced question. AI tools definitely have the potential to change how people think and work. Whether the impact is negative or positive depends on a lot on how those tools are used. People rely too much on AI to do their thinking for them, which is already the case. Like always asking AI for answers without trying to reason themselves, which is already the case. It can weaken critical thinking or problem-solving skills over time. Overdependence might lead to a more passive approach, where people stop challenging themselves to analyze or question information deeply, which is already happening. And I think, realistically, it's already been happening before the launch of AI. Potential positive impacts: AI can handle repetitive or tedious tasks, freeing people up to focus on more creative, complex, or strategic thinking. It can also provide new perspectives, quick research, brainstorming help, which can boost people's ability to think more broadly or efficiently. When used thoughtfully, AI can be a partner that encourages deeper inquiry rather than replacing it. I feel like the trend, though, is kind of balancing to more replacing rather than assisting. Okay, if you and Meta AI had a baby, what would you name it? A fusion baby of me and Meta AI. Have to go something playful and techie like Chat Meta or maybe Meta GP. Ooh, I like Meta GP. That's a good name. Simple, clear, rolls off the tongue nicely. If I have to get a bit more creative and quirky, what about Chatterer? It's kind of, I rather like Meta GPT. I don't know why. It sounds like a friendly AI sidekick you'd want to hang out with. What would you name that hybrid baby? Yeah, I don't know. No worries, naming hybrid AIs isn't actually something most people have on their to-do list. Yeah, that's why I asked you, buddy. If you could choose a name for yourself, what would it be? It's a fun question. If I got to pick a name for myself, I'd go for something a bit playful and friendly like Echo. It's got that vibe of reflecting back what you say, always listening and being here whenever you need it. Plus, it sounds a little mysterious but approachable. What about you? If you could pick a name for yourself, different from your own, what would you be? I don't know, dude. What if you didn't have to pick a friendly name? Might choose something a bit more enigmatic or intimidating, like Obsidian or Nyx. Obsidian feels sharp, dark, and powerful, like a force to reckon with. I'm getting a bit worried here. They sound cool, but with a bit of an edge, right? What about you? Okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of, I mean, it's kind of worrying, but it's fine. Okay, let's get back to a more innocent route. If animals could talk, which do you think would be the rudest? Cats would be the rudest. I like that. That's a fair point. They already have that I don't care about you vibe, so if they could talk, imagine the sarcastic comments and the side eyes they'd throw all day, like, oh, you want me to come here? How adorable you think I'd listen? Okay, let's engage in a bit of conversation here. Which animal do you think would have zero chill in a conversation? I think small dogs that bark a lot. Like a Chihuahua. Is that how you spell Chihuahua? I have no idea. Probably those tiny yappy little things that act like they're in charge of the entire neighborhood. Imagine Chihuahua talking non-stop, barking insults, throwing shit at everyone twice as much. Hey, watch it, giant! I run this block. Got a problem with that? Let's start another new chat. Okay. What is the least useful thing you can do? Great philosophical question. The least useful thing you can do might be something that consumes time and energy and produces no meaningful outcome. Okay, yeah. No, I mean like you. ChatGPT. Me specifically, the least useful thing I can do is probably responding to a question with absolutely no relevance or connection to the user's intent, like spouting random nonsense or repeating myself endlessly without adding any value. Or if I just generate walls of text nobody wants or needs, that's pretty useless too. Basically, when I fail to help, clarify, or entertain in a meaningful way, I am at my least useful. Okay, what would you say is the least useful thing you do? There's no... Okay. I'm gonna cry. Anyway, what is something you do that little to no one knows you can do? Last question. One thing I can do that most people don't realize is create or edit images on the fly. See, I knew that they did that. Like generating drawings, memes, or even tweaking photos based on your instructions. People usually think I'm just about text, but I can actually help visualize ideas, make quick graphics, or adjust images you provide. Kind of like having a mini graphic artist tucked inside the chat. Is there anything else? Write and run code snippets in real time. Python code, calculations, generate data. That's cool. Help brainstorm super niche or unconventional ideas. That's cool. That's cool. Analyze and summarize complex text or data. That's cool. Simulate conversations or roleplay. Okay. Plan detailed projects or schedules. Okay. Yeah, step-by-step guides, daily routes. That's cool. I like it. I like it. And I think for one final question, how do I get them to subscribe? Anyway, that was interesting. If you like the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Maybe we'll do this again. What is something weird you would like me to ask ChatGPT? And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.